Have you ever wondered what makes you, well, you? It all starts with a tiny yet powerful entity known as the cell. When we say tiny, we mean microscopic, so small that millions of them could fit on the tip of a pin. Whether it's a towering oak tree, a buzzing bee, or even you and me, every living organism is composed of these microscopic marvels. Imagine the cell as a bustling city. Each part, or organelle, plays a critical role, just like the different buildings and facilities in a city. But before we delve into the hustle and bustle of Cell City, let's take a moment to understand the two main types of cells: prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cells are the simpler of the two types. They're like the small rural towns of the cell world, with fewer structures and a more straightforward way of life. Bacteria, for instance, are composed of prokaryotic cells. They lack a nucleus, which is kind of like the city hall of the cell city. Instead, their genetic material just floats around inside the cell. On the other hand, we have the more complex eukaryotic cells, the bustling metropolises of the cell world. These cells are found in plants, animals, and humans. Unlike their prokaryotic counterparts, eukaryotic cells have a nucleus that houses their genetic material. They also contain a variety of other organelles, each with its own special function, just like the various buildings within a city. Understanding cells is like unlocking the secrets to life itself. They are the building blocks that make up all living organisms, and they play a crucial role in how our bodies function. So, whether it's the cells in your skin, helping to protect your body, or the cells in your heart, working tirelessly to pump blood around your body, every cell has a part to play. Now that we've set the stage with the basics, let's delve deeper into the fascinating world of cell structure and function. Imagine shrinking down to a microscopic size and stepping into a bustling city. That's what the inside of a cell looks like. Welcome to this microscopic metropolis, the cell. It's a whirl of activity, with various components, each with a unique function, working together in harmony. Let's take a stroll and meet some of the key players. First, we have the cell membrane, the city walls, if you will. It's not just a physical barrier, but an active gatekeeper, deciding what goes in and out of the cell. It's like the city's security, maintaining peace and order. Next, we step into the cytoplasm, the cityscape of our cellular city. It's a jelly-like substance that fills the cell, hosting a variety of activities. It's where many of the cell's metabolic processes occur, kind of like downtown, where all the action happens. In the heart of the city lies the nucleus, the control center. It's like the city hall, housing the cell's DNA, the blueprint for everything the cell does. It's where all the big decisions are made, directing the cell's activities. Scattered throughout the cytoplasm, we find the organelles, the cell's workforce. Each has a specific job, working tirelessly to keep the cell running smoothly. The mitochondria, for instance, are like the power plants generating energy for the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus are like the city's factories and post offices, synthesizing and packaging proteins. And let's not forget the lysosomes, the city's sanitation department, breaking down waste materials and cellular debris. Sounds like a busy city, right? But here's the thing, these are just the broad strokes. Each component's function is much more complex and fascinating than we can cover in a quick tour. And remember, this bustling city is just one of trillions in your body, each working in harmony to keep you alive and well. That's the cellular city in a nutshell. But how about we zoom in on some of these structures? In any city, there's a central command that keeps things running smoothly. In the cell, that's the nucleus. Think of the nucleus as the cell's brain or control center. It's a spherical structure, often the largest organelle within the cell. It's bounded by a double membrane known as the nuclear envelope, which separates the nucleus from the rest of the cell. This envelope is studded with tiny openings called nuclear pores, allowing materials to move in and out. But what does the nucleus do? Its main job is to control cell activities. It's like the mayor of our city, directing traffic and making important decisions. And it's also the cell's library, housing all the cell's DNA, the blueprints for life. These blueprints guide the cell, telling it when to grow, divide, and perform its specific tasks. The nucleus, a tiny yet mighty part of the cell. But what about the rest? Let's turn our attention now to the cell's workforce, the organelles. These are the specialized structures that perform various tasks within the cell, keeping it alive and functioning, much like the different departments in a company. First, we have the mitochondria, often referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. These bean-shaped workhorses generate most of the cell's energy supply. Picture a bustling factory where all the cell's power is produced. That's your mitochondria. Next, meet the ribosomes. These tiny molecular machines are the cell's protein factories. They read the instructions sent from the nucleus and assemble proteins, the building blocks of life. Imagine a 3D printer, meticulously crafting each piece. That's what ribosomes do on a microscopic scale. Then we find the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short. The ER's job is to produce, process, and transport proteins and lipids. It's a bit like a busy highway system, transporting vital materials to where they're needed. There are two types: rough ER, studded with ribosomes, and smooth ER, which is involved in creating lipids and detoxifying harmful substances. Lastly, let's talk about the Golgi apparatus, the cell's post office. It modifies, sorts, and packages proteins and lipids that have been made in the ER, dispatching them to their final destinations. Picture a bustling mail sorting center, with parcels being prepared and shipped out. That's the Golgi apparatus. These organelles don't work in isolation. They function as a team, each playing a crucial role in keeping the cell alive and well. The mitochondria generate the energy, the ribosomes build the proteins, the ER transports these vital materials, and the Golgi apparatus ensures they reach the right place. Just like in a city, every worker in the cell has a job to do. Together, they keep the city, or in this case, the cell, running smoothly. Every city needs a boundary, and for the cell, that's the cell membrane. Think of the cell membrane as the city wall. It's incredibly thin, but don't let that fool you. It's a complex structure made up of lipids and proteins. Its main job? To safeguard the cell's interior and maintain order by controlling what enters and leaves the cell. The cell membrane isn't just a static wall, though. It's more like a vigilant gatekeeper, selectively allowing necessary nutrients to pass through while keeping out unwanted or harmful substances. This selectivity is what helps the cell to function optimally. It's a bustling point of interaction where signals are sent and received and materials are exchanged. In essence, the cell membrane is the cell's first line of defense, its gatekeeper, and its communicator, all rolled into one. It's a marvel of biological engineering. The cell membrane, a vital barrier that keeps the cell safe and functioning. So, we've taken a journey through the cell, but what does it all mean? Well, let's take a step back and revisit the highlights of our exploration. We started by unveiling the cell, that tiny complex unit of life. It's hard to imagine that trillions of these microscopic entities are working in harmony right now to keep you alive and functioning. Next, we dove inside the cell for a closer look. We found a bustling city filled with the hustle and bustle of organelles, each with a unique role. These organelles, just like the different departments in a city, work together to keep the city, or in this case, the cell, running smoothly. Then we turned our attention to the nucleus, the control center of the cell. It's the boss, the manager, the one in charge. The nucleus directs all cellular activities by controlling the production of proteins, which are the cell's doers and builders. We also explored the workhorses of the cell, the organelles. Each organelle carries out a specific function, whether it's energy production in the mitochondria, protein synthesis in the ribosomes, or waste disposal in the lysosomes. And finally, we examined the cell membrane, the gatekeeper of the cell. It's the bouncer at the club, deciding what gets in and what gets out, maintaining the delicate balance necessary for the cell's survival. So why does all this matter? Because understanding the structure and function of cells helps us comprehend the complexity of life itself. Each cell is a microcosm of life, with various parts working together to ensure survival. This knowledge doesn't just satisfy our curiosity. It has practical applications too. It aids in the development of treatments for diseases, improves our understanding of our own bodies, and even helps us understand other forms of life on our planet. Cells, the tiny building blocks of life, are complex and fascinating. They work tirelessly to keep you being you every second of every day.